this show might have some wheels, baby. But I call it the Melissa Dolores theory. Okay, so we got to talk about this selling the OC. It is, huh? Is this, it is, right? I should just say it, huh? Is this show the best of the real estate reality shows? I think it's the best. Now, let me tell you one thing. I loved initially the $1 Million Listing New York, the $1 Million Listing LA. Wasn't there a $1 Million Listing San Francisco too? Yes, I like that one also. Or I don't really know, but they should bring it back because who doesn't want to see real estate in San Francisco? But the point is, then all of a sudden, after being so successful on Bravo's reality network, all of a sudden, there's like a reality show that is on Netflix, Selling Sunset. Now the world was like, oh my God, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. And I was like, what is this? No knock to the creator, because the creator had done the Laguna Beach and believe the Hills too. But anyways, the point is, like, it wasn't about it seemed like it could have been a good show, and it had all the bells and whistles, but like the casting was a little bit, there was like one cast member that was interesting. What was her name? She was blonde, but they all were blonde. Short hair, kind of like a little stuffy. I liked her. What was her name? Does anyone remember? Anyway, so Selling Sunset wasn't my show. I didn't like it. I love reality TV. I love to learn, like, oh, well, this, the value of this neighborhood and this and that. And, when you're reselling, just like there's a lot of tips too. And all of a sudden, all the bells and the whistles of Selling Sunset and the Hollywood Hills and everything, I was like, but it's not that good. So I really was not a big fan of the sellings like I was the $1 Million Listings. Like, I'll watch a $1 Million Listing spinoff, like a Josh and Josh. Remember when the two Joshes, they had a spinoff series? Like, I'll always watch that. But the sellings never really did anything for me. And again, going back to, speaking of like the creator of the sellings, Selling Sunset, when I was younger, I loved watching the Laguna Beach and the Hills and all that stuff. So there's definitely something there. But I'm just going to get to, like, is Selling the OC the best one? Is Alex Hall a superstar? Did Brandy clock in this season? Like, we need to talk about all these things. Okay, so anyways, let's get there in terms of what I feel about it. So what I'm saying is, I was not at all interested in any of the sellings. I tried to watch Selling Tampa and was enjoying it. And then it was before, because I'm not really a binge watcher, except for Selling the OC. But just in general, I don't like binge watching. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, how like HBO would be like, every Sunday was like The Sopranos. Every Sunday was Sex and the City. Like, I love that vibe of programming. I don't like everything's out in one day. Have at it. It's just, I guess I'm old in that way, over 40. So yeah, no. But still and through. Why did I bring that up? What were we talking about? We were talking about the sellings versus the $1 Million Listings, two different types of things. But anyways, sellings did do good. Let's just focus on that. Sellings did do good. The selling shows did well, but they were on Netflix. They were different. They were not my thing. And then the Tampa one, again, I wanted to watch. Oh, binging. That's what I was saying. Got it. Binging. I'm not like a binge watcher. So by the time I got around to binging Selling Tampa, I guess it already was like canceled. So I was like, or there was word that it was going to be canceled. And then of course the word was true. So I never really got into it because, it's basically stopped before it started. So I'll still have to go back and watch it and support it, Nonetheless, that's just like the breakdown. Like, no Selling the Sunset, Selling Tampa, didn't get around to it. So I'm like, let me click. And it's not even like I'm like, ooh, let me find out about like the wonderful world of like Laguna Beach and Newport and all these places. Like, it's not really that. If we're going to break that down, it's always going to be like when I think of like the $1 Million Listing, the New York one was so fun because of what it had. New York City is a vibe. As I said, there should be a $1 Million Listing San Francisco or a $1 Million Listing I don't know, just wherever. So I'm saying that selling the OC wasn't even attracting me based on that. It was like, oh, let's find out about Orange County. But then I watched the show, season 1, and I said, look at this cast. Like, what is going on here? They got some girl that reminds me of like Lo Bosworth, from the Laguna. You got one girl who's like giving like Kristin Cavallari vibes a little bit. Like, it was like, and then you got like a guy who's kind of like a little chill vibes. I'm like, is this like Steven reincarnated? Like, it was just so wonderful. I'm like, I love this cast. So all the cast is so wonderfully fun and good looking, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So I like it, and I watched the whole season in like 2 days. I told you I am not a binger. I try so hard to binge. To this day, I still got to go back and watch on Hulu. I got to go back and watch the last 2 episodes of one of my favorite shows, The Bear, season 2. I got to go back and watch with Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, the Only Murders in the Building. I got to go back and watch these shows because, like, I'm not saying I forget, but I just like to watch them week by week with everybody. However, one of those shows actually is week by week, but that's not the point. The point is, I couldn't believe that I watched Selling the OC in like 2 days. I was like, who am I? What's going on? So then I'm like, this show is a success. But I thought sometimes shows that I like on Netflix, I also liked Designing Miami. I thought that was a cool show. And sometimes things I like don't really get like that attention. So I'm like, let me not count on it even doing well, or it getting all the buzz, or it getting a second season. And then lo and behold, it gets a season 2 and a season 3. Like right away. I mean, in terms of it being filmed, we're barely watching season 2. Then I'm watching all the interviews about season 2. And let me tell you one recipe, and I don't know how it goes completely because I'm like right in the middle right now. I almost don't want to keep watching because I'm like, what's going to happen? And I don't want to like waste it. So this whole particular episode is more just like, is Selling the OC that show, like a superstar show right now? Is it like the top dog? Now, some of the things I'll say, who knows? Because maybe my viewpoints will change in a little bit because, once you get to the finale, things change. But I'm going off the interviews too, and like the energy of the interviews. You know how the cast gets into a press room and they, do a ton of interviews, and if you watch enough of them, you could kind of see through the lines, see through the dotted line and see what's going on for real. So I always say, let me do a reference. Like on Real Housewives of New Jersey, although they've been getting along pretty easily these days, but I always used to say, like, I obsess over Melissa Gorga, the great Melissa Gorga, the queen. But I also love Dolores Catania. Now, there was a time, not even on the show per se, but in the rumblings of the rumblings, of all the, the he said, she said, all the stuff that they don't really like each other. So they necessarily didn't go at it on the show, but you could just feel that. So I always say, and this will get to my point on Selling the OC, why this show might have some wheels, baby. But I call it the Melissa Dolores theory. You're always going to have a good show when 2 of your favorites don't really like each other. So you're eating the popcorn, and you're like, oh my God, I like the show. And I'm like loving Melissa. And Real Housewives of New Jersey reference. And I'm loving Dolores. But they don't necessarily like each other. Now, I don't need it to get all crazy. Just you could just feel the energy. I don't need it. I like watching reality TV where it's a little bit of light shade. I don't need anything physical or anything like that. I just need just cool, interesting banter, I guess. So it's kind of that thing. So I was somewhat devastated, yet like, what's going to go on, to find out, because on season 1, if you were watching season 1 of Selling the OC, it was all about like, it was basically Jarvis and Rose were on this side and every of the cool kids were on this side. And I hated when they tried to make it like, oh, it's a mean girl situation. No, it wasn't. Sometimes it's just winners and losers. That is the way of life. Anyway, that's kind of what it was. So within that, you had, this tough as nails Alex Hall, and then you had Paulie, and then you had Brandy, who I loved Brandy, but Brandy was going through it with her mother was, not doing well. You had Kayla, who was, she was always a little bit of a, not necessarily on anyone's side. She was still like coming up in the business, which honestly, season 2, she's like clocked in. And she was clocked in season 1, but she's going even more and giving more this season 2. But it was just always like, kind of almost becoming predictable in a good way because you love the show. But then season 2, it gets all shooken up. And again, I'm not going to do an episode by episode recap. And again, I have not finished watching season 2 finale. So this is sort of just a opening impression of like, what's going on. But the theory is like, I love Alex Hall. Crazy. I love Alex Hall so much. And I love Alex. Alex, there's so many Alexes on the show. Jarvis, Rose, and the new Allie. And I love Brandy so much. And I didn't even know Brandy was a local girl, San Bernardino. Like, and I'm going to tell you something. I grew up in Southern California. I always tell you I love New York City way better. I think California Southern is really, what a joke. I don't know why and how people like it, but I essentially did grow up here. I was born here. So I do get excited when I find somebody on the television or in life that is from SoCal and is actually amazing. So I'm like, oh my God, I love Brandy. I didn't know she was from San Bernardino. I didn't know that. So I'm like really into it. And then these two friends, they start not seeing things eye to eye. And obviously it's a reality show, so things get out of proportion, but it still sets up so much. Again, there's always going to be somebody who is right. There's always going to be someone who's wrong in the situation. There's always going to be things that change, as Brandy once said, because the tables, they do turn. The tables turn. They do. She knew. Brandy knew. And so I'm just going to try to keep it more on an uplifting space where we could love on both of these cast members and all of them for that matter. Rather than like getting right into, sometimes you see like online, like on Twitter and stuff like that, on TikTok, it's so divided. I want to like look at the show and say, at the end of the day, most of these cast members are doing this. They're building this real estate success for the basis of their families and if they're married or not married or whatever. And I feel like it's a great show for the excitement, but I think like at the end of the day, it's a show. It still is a show, and I don't want to get too like judgy. I sort of want, like I said, Melissa and Dolores. I want them both to thrive. I want everyone to thrive. Now let's talk about a couple other things of selling the OC that's amazing or interesting. You're like, oh yeah, Jarvis and Rose. Turns out Jarvis is like, that is not my homegirl. You guys could have her because Rose is a little bit rough around the edges, I guess still. Even the way she explains things. And did you see the yellow dress that she wore in one of the scenes? Like, Rose is just a different girl. And, they make their accusations about her, this, and this. I'm not getting into that per se, but it's just interesting because all of a sudden you go from like in your mind watching, this is why this show is so good. You usually get season 1 and then the season 2 and 3. It's always like the same. Oh, it's like watching a whole new cast. Everything I thought I knew, like connection wise in terms of the cast and like who's going to be on the come up, et cetera, et cetera. It's all like just, it's like thrown in a box, shooken up, and you just don't know what you're going to get. Like season 1, I'm thinking like Gio, because he's pompous in a good way. I'm thinking Gio's going to be the villain. Gio's like so likable. He's not likable in the sense of like, he did come from, this world. So he does have a little more access. But I've always said this because I always get very like, how like those actors these days are like, what Nepo baby, it's no big deal. I still have to have the talent. Are you kidding me? Do not discredit the access that having that access is. So nepotism is a thing. So don't knock it. And no one's even saying you're not talented. That's your own issue you got to deal with. So what I'm saying is, not that Gio went through any of this stuff, but my point has always been, you could be ushered into good situations and you still got to do the work, guaranteed. But like, accept it. And I love so much that Gio was like, as much of a pompous, arrogant son of a bitch he is, which I enjoy, just like I like Josh Flagg on Million Dollar Listing LA. these people still have good character. And one thing that I think Gio said in one of the scenes was, and again, I'm not doing like an episode by episode breakdown. I'm just kind of like doing on, just some of the things. He said, well, listen, I've always believed in leaning into things that will help you or whatever. So it just, as somebody who, when I went into media and broadcast, must I show you all the hard work, the years of hard work that I've put in. Yes, Ronnie's been clocking in randomly, has been doing it, and yet these sons of bitches don't want to pay me. No, I'm kidding. My point is, you could go, do. Sometimes the access that you don't have causes a problem. And so you just don't want to hear somebody who has had a lot dismiss that. Like Gio, like I would have a much different opinion of Gio if he was like, oh, well, I did this all on my own. It's like, no, just like in Tyler in one of the episodes, he's like, oh yeah, well, we're selling this home. This was my childhood home, gorgeous home. And oh, how'd you get this listing? Oh, well, my father, blah, blah, blah. Like that stuff counts. That stuff matters. That stuff counts. That stuff matters. And to dismiss it is always going to be horse crap, in my opinion. And so again, I'm never going to knock you if you come from something and you own it and you're like, okay, this is what it is. But I'll always be pissed at you if you have it real good, because a lot of us have not, and then you make it like it didn't matter or it didn't count as towards your success. No, it definitely did. Okay, it definitely did. Everything I've done, like I said, in the radio, television industries or whatever, on my complete own with no money, dusty Ronnie walking in every door trying to make it happen. It's a difference if you got it the other way around. So own that, right? Okay, that's how I feel. And so this, whoa, I got so passionate. Whew. All of this allows me to like somebody, again, like Josh Flagg. Arrogant, pompous, but cool as can be. Gio, arrogant, pompous, but cool as can be. And you kind of like it because he owns it. Yes, he comes from all this. He should be thriving, but he's always going to be like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I mean, I couldn't get more excited seeing him, and I'm not even a car person, but see him roll up in his orange, I don't know what vehicle it was, but just even the symbolism, he's like, because I'm Orange County, baby. Like, he is something else. He came in his, at his party, he had like a sculpture of himself. Like that stuff is just personality based sometimes too. Anyways, like I was saying, the season just keeps shifting. It's like a whole different thing. You're thinking like Gio's going to be the jerk, and he certainly isn't. Tyler out of nowhere is becoming like on the minds and maybe lips and things of other people. So that's interesting. I just really feel like you watch a show, you watch Kayla, and you're like so excited for her. You want to see her win. I feel like you watch the show, you see Alex Hall, you want to see her win. I feel like you watch the show, you see Austin, you want to see him win. Like it's a show that is done so well that everybody is so exciting in their different ways. I really feel, and sorry, I got all excited there a second ago talking about like nepotism or not, because it is an issue. But I feel like every single one of these cast members is a little bit of like the all-star cast. Like Holly is fantastic. And yes, they all could put their foot in it. Sure. One of the most interesting things was I loved watching Jarvis season 1, but I feel like we're meeting a whole nother person season 2. And then, I mean, there's even the intrigue of like, well, I've only been married this many times, but I was engaged this many times, but I was asked to get married this many times. Like, I'm like, who is this Jarvis? Oh, wait, her name's Rachel, but that's so normal in the South. Like, all of it is just so exciting. And one of the things to think about, and I'll wrap up here, is the concept of, is this the better show? As I'm saying, is Selling the OC the better show? And as I'm saying, I have not watched to the end. I'm right at the halfway point of the second season. So excited about the third. I feel like I already know what's going to happen because I am one of those people who watches 17,000 interviews of a cast because, I come from, as I showed you. Let me show you again. Let me be pompous about my achievements, okay? Because I come from radio and broadcast. It's like my favorite thing ever is to see interviews, and it's a skill set that I do, which means I of course love it. And over the years I've been around tons of interviews, and I looking over footage, looking over interview audio and content and stuff like that. So being that it is so such a thing, I specifically will watch a bunch of interviews and I'll check them all out or whatever. And as I'm doing that, I I'm like feel like I know I feel like I know what's going to go on season 2 and season 3. That's just what I've accumulated in my mind. Obviously, you don't know until you watch the show. So, again, not taking sides of anybody. I'm just simply saying the one stance I will say is selling the OC is way better than selling Sunset. And I don't even mean because, yeah, selling Sunset, maybe they had a big cast member who to me was not very interesting. Did she go do the Call Her Daddy episode? Not very interesting. Selling the OC is really that show. So, anyways, if you like it, let's like it together. Maybe on the third season, I'll do a week by week recap. Obviously, on the channel here, there's over 495 pieces of content. Did I say 495? 945, nearly 1,000. I should have just said it like that. That's how real estate people talk. They always find a better way to say it. Would you want to say 945 pieces of content, or would you want to say nearly 1,000? See, this is why I watch the show, because then your mind thinks of how to sell things in a little different way. How about when Kayla goes, "Oh no, but there's real estate," to which Alex Hall was like, sorry, I'm thinking of all these different things. "Oh no, there's construction." Kayla goes, they're at the overlooking the sunset. "Oh no, there's construction." And Alex Hall goes, "Oh, well, what I tell my clients is this showcases that this, area is a place where people want to invest in. And actually, it just gives a tunnel vision of that beautiful sunset." I was like, how do you do it? So even within my own career, I'm always Mr. Keep it funky, keep it real, keep it authentic, which I love that about me. Great morals, yes. But there are times where you got to sell it in a way where you make it so undeniable for the next person to know you are the best person for the job as a realtor, the best person for the job as a talk show host, which, I got all that coming up very soon in my mind. But it's just a show that gets me excited. That's all I'm saying. Selling those, do you love it like I love it? Do we love it? Do we love it together? Should we jump in the comments and talk about it? Who's your favorite cast member? Who's to blame? No, we're not going to blame anybody. We like them all. Anyway, it's been a great episode. Let's check out, and we will talk on the next one. All right, bye.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.